それ以上進むな。巻き込まれるぞ。
Sorcerers or mages, probably one of the favorite traits of a protagonist can have within an anime series. The sheer magical power, the spells or magic used with their cool effects. It's just so cool to witness things like these. So today's video will be covering 10 anime where the protagonist surprises everyone with his magic power. If you are new around here, then please make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, notifications bell icon turned on to stay up to date with the latest anime news and recommendations right at your doorstep. Now, without keeping you all waiting, let us begin with the video. Starting things off with an anime series called My Isekai Life, which is a very recently airing isekai series from this year by Studio Riverroot. And while I'm gonna have to say, it's quite mediocre within the storyline, and repetitiveness is what really plagues almost all of the isekai genre shows. Now, hear me out. It's not as bad as it may sound, because it does have its cool moments. The show is definitely special and has a heavy-hearted charm to balance the light-heartedness of the slimes. Now, you may feel like the main character probably has no character and lacking a solid backstory, but to be honest, having the slimes as a backup support to the protagonist and helping him achieve his goals through, protecting people with so much power is what makes this show very good. Up next is an anime called Parallel World Pharmacy, developed by Studio Dio Media in 2022, and it's one of the better isekai series that I've seen in quite a while. Protagonist with powerful magic and intelligence able to create medicine beyond this world's creation to save those that cannot be saved without his assistance. The pharmaceutical guild, the nobility, the church, all behaved about as realistically as you'd expect if someone came out of nowhere with just miracle drugs. While the show lacks physical action, it makes up for it with political and medical chess. Getting isekai creates many opportunities for protagonists. Obviously, it's an opportunity to start anew and fix the mistakes that you have done in your past life, but it also is an opportunity to bring knowledge from your world to a brand new one. Usually we see that in the form of video games and, mechanics, or maybe the main character making comments about anime manga about, back in Japan, but we don't get enough shows that show the main character bringing real practical skills to the new world. The Devil Is A Partimer, a very famous reverse isekai series from about 9 years ago when it first started airing in 2013 by Studio Madhouse, and while Season 2 did come along afterwards, many claim, however, it's not as good as it was before. But on a serious note, don't expect things to be the same after all these years. I'm just so thankful we got an anticipated long-awaited sequel to this masterpiece. Mao is the demon lord of the series and Emi Yusa is the hero, both getting isekai'd into Japan. They have lost most of their powers and are forced to pretty much earn a living by blending into society and working at their chosen jobs. Fast food McDonald's and also an office worker. The sheer comedy and interaction between characters is what defined The Devil Is A Partimer as peak comedy. It was funny, filled with so much humor and fun to watch, but if you still haven't seen this anime, I highly recommend it, especially since it is a fantastic starter anime to anyone new. A Certain Magical Index is an action comedy set in a modern city called Academy City. The entire city is basically composed of several schools that teach the usage of Esper, or, a scientific kind of magic. Now, the protagonist Toma wields a power that is completely completely unknown to him, meaning he has no idea what its true potential can truly be, but for starters, all he really knows is that it can just negate magic, or in simple terms, anti-magic. I admit it was a very enjoyable series to watch. The plot is very simple, but watching Toma go through each challenge in his way was super entertaining. This was made by JC Staff in 2018, and still retains high quality animation, smooth action, and badass CG effects with the magic powers. Basically, take the series like this. Weak to strong protagonist is what you are getting when checking the series out, and it's definitely worth your time. Now, this here is quite a unique anime series and also a collaboration between Japan and China, bringing in a series called Reikenzan from Studio Dean, which focuses a lot on Chinese culture. But to be straight up honest, this story will be very confusing for a good amount of people who are not familiar with Chinese culture. This anime will be very different from, those who love anime. The plot pace will be different and more Chinese paced, where the whole backstory is presented, before the main character of the story appears. But to make it more simple, the story is basically about the efforts and life of a character who is growing up and they face many different life choices. Things will be different, but I think it could be a nice change of pace, as this show is extremely underrated. You might as well give it a go. I mean, Japanese and Chinese culture may be different, and it could interest you by just how different they really are. To expect an elaborate storyline, unexpected plot twists, and incredible character development from an ecchi harem show will be one of the greatest mistakes you can ever make. Now, I came into Campione with no expectations at all, and I merely came to watch an ecchi harem show, and you know what I got? An awesome show that understands how to make a story despite having fan service and a harem. Campione is a story about a guy named Godo who ends up killing the Persian god of victory, and as a result, he receives the god's powers upon killing them and the title of Godslayer. And after that, he basically goes around killing out of control gods so no one else can take care of them. Since it's a harem, well, Godo also gets the attraction of female characters due to him being so powerful, and to be honest, it's some of the best I've ever seen within this genre. Even though this anime here is actually a spin-off of the Grimoire of Zero, which you probably haven't seen yet, I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. Story was a bit interesting, but a bit also confusing at times as well. Sometimes the plot moved slowly and then picked up the pace significantly, so you can lose track of what was going on. Well, to tell you the truth, the plot was mostly driven by characters involved in it, in my opinion. Dawn of the Witch is about the protagonist who was the weakest in the school, was tasked by the headmaster to go on a journey that will hopefully make him a lot more stronger. A lot of the story is also heavily, featuring elements from the previous season, which if you haven't seen the Grimoire of Zero, then it's highly recommended before jumping into this one. Overall, though, a very satisfactory show, and I kinda liked it. I know many people may have doubts regarding this anime and how badly its pacing was, which did hinder a lot with the enjoyment for the show. It's still quite entertaining as a whole if you watch knowing what to expect. The story has a lot of elements which make it interesting, though slightly confusing. It's a good way to pass your time if you do not expect much, and if you need anime to watch, then maybe this is actually worth a shot. Now, the entire first season is mostly focused towards Orphen tracking down to find a close friend of his from the Sorcery Academy when an experiment went wrong, thus transforming transforming her into a deadly dragon. Orphen's adventure then began to find her in the hopes of changing her back to her normal state. The action scenes are really well made and the art is fairly decent. The characters are quite captivating as well. So the only real issue for me in this series is really its rushed story.
そんな話には興味なし。
Personally, Tsukimichi or Moonlit Fantasy is a great anime and it's regarded as one of the best isekai series to watch, with a second season coming very soon. The protagonist Makoto was transferred to another world by the goddess who called him ugly and gave him super strong powers, but he seems to always just be stuck at a low level for the duration of his whole series, making him appear quite weak, but in fact, he wields demonic strength that he suppresses so others don't fear him.
思いっきり加減したのじゃ。
Tsukimichi is a very messy anime, yet it works. It's funny, it's enjoyable, it has good twists on the tropes in it, and relatable characters. It's actually pretty damn good. It's also got the harem trope since two female characters constantly fight over him, and that may be annoying for some, but to me, I love seeing this kind of interactions. Comedy is also very satisfying and it's funny to watch, just making this a big standout isekai from many others, and it's a big recommendation for you all to watch.
おっと危ねえ。俺は絶夜最強。実力も装備もそれなりの財力もあるんだぜ。挙式紫
Now finally, to end this list off, what I'm recommending to you all is Jujutsu Kaisen, a shonen anime that has popped off in 2020 by Studio Mappa, and I'm gonna be straight up honest. Really, the first highlight, the sector which totally carried JJK, the animation. Jujutsu Kaisen is a feast for your eyes. The animation is just so magnificent, starting from beautiful landscapes to the sakuga on, even the smallest fights. The fights are so well choreographed, the camera angles, the keyframe. I don't have enough words to really explain just the greatness of the animation that Jujutsu Kaisen presents. You have to witness it for yourself. The protagonist Yuji joins the Tokyo Metropolitan Jujutsu Technical High School. He begins to walk down a path from which he cannot return, the path of a Jujutsu Sorcerer. Now, after eating one of Sukuna's fingers, he gained tremendous amount of powers thanks to sort of becoming one with the King of Curses.
なぜそこまで動ける
You just made it to the end of the video and witnessed 10 anime where the protagonist surprises everyone with his magic power. If I have managed to leave any anime out in particular that you thought would be a great issue on the list, then please let me know in the comment section down below, as I'd love to hear your very own opinion, or just comment down below what you thought about the video in general, as I'd always appreciate the feedback. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll be seeing you all in the next one.